Did you just buy Timberborn and don't know where to start? Did a drought leave your colony looking like a ghost town? Were things going just fine until a bad tide killed all your crops and caused a massive famine? Then the Timberborn Beginner Survival Guide is for you. It's a series dedicated to getting your colony off on the right webbed foot. This guide will cover all you need to know about founding your first colony, from surviving your very first drought to mastering bad tides. Along the way, we'll even get into accomplishing side goals such as meeting your beaver's needs and unlocking the second faction, the Iron Teeth, all the way to founding your robot army. But before we can begin, we have to start. Since we're beginners here, we're playing the folktales, and we're picking a beginner map. I've chosen to start on waterfalls, since it gives us plenty of opportunity for growing both our crops and our population, as well as having a lot of potential for terraforming. So let's jump straight into our colony of Tutopolis. Alright, now come our beavers. Now first of all, just a little bit of controls. WSAD moves the screen around, right click allows us to rotate, mouse goes in, or mouse wheel is in and out, and then holding the mouse wheel and moving pans. Okay, now that we've got all that, let's pause. First thing that I like to do is just put some paths around this, because the town hall is likely to become the center of what we're doing here, at least in this part of the map. I like to put the paths around so that we always have easy access to what we're doing. Second thing we need, some wood. We do that by going down here to wood and selecting a lumberjack flag. We press R to rotate so that that little arrow is facing towards the path, and we put that down. And then we are going to unpause, and one of the beavers over here is going to run down and build this lumberjack flag. So, once we have that lumberjack flag, all we gotta do is go down here to cut trees, select this. We mark our tree cutting area, which is this whole area. Now, a beaver that is working over at this lumberjack flag will come over and he will start cutting down a tree. This is not going to be enough lumberjack flags for over here, so we're actually just going to plop down another one. And then the other thing we're going to need before we get anywhere into this day is we are going to need some food. Over here, we're going to go down to food, gather our flag, and we're going to build one of these right here. If you look, you can see a blue outline that's forming. That is the effective area. What we want is all of these berries to be within the effective area of what we just placed, because that means that the beaver that takes up residence in this job will be able to pick those berries over there. So now we have beavers gathering wood and we have beavers gathering food. So the last thing that we absolutely need, or else our beavers will die, is water. I'm going to place a pumping station, or a water pump as it's actually called, right here. Now this water pump, if you look, it takes 12 logs, which we do not have yet, but these beavers up here are currently gathering. So if we just speed up the game a little bit, and I did that by pressing 3. You have 3 speeds, 1, 2, and 3, and that affects the game speed. So the thing that's happening now is that the working hours are currently set to 16 hours, so that's all these light hours. Since it is nighttime, our beavers are just going to kind of wander around until they fall asleep on the ground, because we don't have anything else for them to do. So we are just going to turn the speed up to 3 here, and then they will run around and go to sleep. And then as this ticks to morning, I'm going to press this little plus and set their working hours to 18. Now that should not have any adverse effects on them going forward, but we're going to need them to really be working hard to be in a good position when this drought comes. So our water pump is now built. This thing, as you see, Jeunya is over here. They just walk in, they will start pumping water, and that'll just fill this up to 15, and beavers will come over when they need water. So the next bit of infrastructure that we're going to need, I'm going to build off over here We are going to start building up logs. As you can see, these can only store up to 20 logs. We are going to need to store many more logs than 20 right now and in the future. So if we come down here to storage and we go to log pile, 6 logs will give us this. I will put it right here since it's a decent distance, or it's a decently close to our woodcutting shacks. And then I need to click on it because right now it does not have anything selected in storage. And then I will click the question mark and go to logs here. Once they actually decide to build this, the beavers will start to move logs over here, and then we can use those for buildings. The other thing that I do need to remember to do is click on our town hall here, and I'm going to set this to 4 builders. At the moment, we're going to have beavers that just sit here most of the time, but there's nothing else for the builders to do, so it is best to just have them available to build. We now need to store the 2 other things that we have. So we have berries, and we have waters. First thing we're going to store is berries. For that, we're going to go down here to storage. We have warehouses. Both of these can store berries. We're going to go with medium just because it stores a bit more, which is probably obvious from the name. Then we're going to do the same thing that we did with this lumber mill. We're going to go over here. There's a lot more options, but berries are right there. We're going to click that. I have a bit of a plan here for how I'm going to build this little community. So I'm going to build this off over here. And then for storing our water, you're going to go to storage. And then unlike the other 2, we only have a single option for storing water right now. That's the small tank. We're just going to build that here. Again, we do need to go in and select water for storage. And then the beavers will get to building those. One of our beavers actually just grew up. With that, we're going to get this resource, science. So to do that, we are going to go down to inventor. We're just going to place that right here for now. That'll probably get moved eventually, but we get some of our resources back when we demolish a building, and inventors only take logs, so I'm not super worried about it. So we've got something odd happening here. All of our beavers are thirsty, but there is water in the water pump. Now that is because the beavers are all currently working so much that they don't have time to go to the water pump, but they will solve that on their own. So we don't really have to worry about that other than the fact that they're all going very slow because they're thirsty. What we can't fix and what we will need to do next is solve this food problem. So right now we have a single beaver out here gathering berries, but that's really not going to sustain us for very long. So what we need to do is we need to start farming our own food. So to grow our own food, we're going to go down here to food, and then the second option after gatherer flag is efficient farmhouse. This takes 24 logs. It also has an effective range like the gatherer flag and like the lumberjack flags, but the additional stipulation is that to grow food, we need to place this somewhere where that area of effect has green grass, because that means the land is arable. So we're going to place that right here. If you look, the area I have placed it on is brown and cracked like this, which means we are maximizing the amount of actual area that we can place crops on. Because I have 2 different things that are going to be built, I want to set priority. I don't want them putting all their logs into this workspace other than the 8 that are already here. I want them to use the logs that we're getting over the next day for the farmhouse. So to do that, we're going to go over here, construction site. We have these little arrows. These indicate the priority of the construction. The down arrows indicate lower priority, and the up arrows indicate higher priority. Obviously, these are steps. 2 ups are more than up, which is more than up, down, which is more than down, which is more than double down. I usually leave most things at the neutral priority. We are going to knock this one up to plus priority because we want this to be built faster than this, but if something were to come up where we needed something built immediately, we would still have the option to make it higher priority than this. Now we can also do that with workplaces. So here's the water pump. We actually always need someone pumping water from somewhere because beavers will consume water every single day. So we're going to set this workplace priority to double up, which means that regardless of what's happening, someone will always be here. It won't necessarily always be Jeunia, because they will die. And sometimes beavers just don't listen to your instructions, like here, where they decided to build the research station before they built the farmhouse. All right, I don't think we're getting wood at a significant enough cadence here. I am going to put down another lumberjack flag. Now, lumberjack flags and gatherer flags are free. If we're ever in an instance like this where we just don't have enough going on with these workstations, we can't just slap another one down and fill up the workplace right now by taking it away from the builders. Okay, so now our farmhouse has been built. We, much like the water pumping station, we need someone in this farmhouse. We don't need it to be as high priority as the water pump because they will not die as quickly without food as they will without water, and also there's 3 workstations here. So we are going to set this workplace priority to the second priority. But here's the thing with this. We don't need 3 beavers working here right now. We're not going to have nearly enough farming going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press this little minus sign here, and it'll take away a workstation. And then we need to decide what crops we want. Now, as I said before, any green space like this we can plant crops on. We only have 4 choices. We have carrots, sunflowers, potatoes, and wheat. Potatoes and wheat both take additional processing, which we do not have the beavers or the materials for right now. So what we want to do is we want to take carrots, and we want a fairly big area that we can plant carrots in. And then we're going to take sunflowers, and we don't need as big of an area for those. And then our beavers that are working at this farmhouse are going to wander out, and they're going to start planting. Now, the one thing that I don't want them to do right now is plant the sunflowers first, because the sunflowers take 5 days to grow and produce 2 seeds, and the carrots take 4 days to grow and produce 3 seeds. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to our farmhouse again, click on it, and then we're going to go to prioritized resource, and we're going to hit carrot. Now that means that tomorrow, when the beavers go back to doing their jobs, they're going to plant all these carrots first, and then they're going to start planting these sunflowers. Now, the thing we're going to need within the next 4 days, so I'm going to get it now, is we're going to need to build more storage to hold these sunflower seeds and these carrots. I'm going to place 2 more storages and then connect them with a path. And then I'm going to select carrots with 1, and I'm going to select, where is it? I'm going to select sunflower seeds with the other. Now, these need to be built in the next 4 days, so I'm actually going to turn down the priority on these so that we can get other things done. So the next thing we're going to have to address is these stumps here. When trees are cut down, they turn into stumps, and then those stumps can turn back into these saplings, and then these will take 12 days to grow back into trees that give wood. While that's fine, it's not really going to be quick enough for what we're doing. So what we're going to need is a forester. This is a building that we are going to have to unlock, which is why we are building up these science points up here. The other thing, if you look at this forester, it takes logs, but it also takes another icon. That is planks. For planks, we're going to need a lumber mill, but a lumber mill cannot run on its own. If we were to just build this lumber mill here and connect it up, it would never do a single thing. A lumber mill needs power. We have 2 options at the moment for power. We've got these power wheels that a beaver will go into and they'll run around, but that takes a beaver and takes away a job that could otherwise be fulfilled somewhere else. And we have a stream right here. So instead, we're going to build a water wheel. This will take 50 logs. And it's going to take some time. But we need this to happen. So We will slap that down right here, and we will fast forward the game a little bit. And I've just noticed I built that in the wrong spot for what I was planning later, which does mean that I have kind of wasted some logs here, which hopefully will not impact us later. The other thing I wanted to do was that this river, as you see, if we look this way, it runs off the edge of the map. Now eventually, it's not going to be for another couple days. The water up here is going to dry up, and all this water will rush off the map. But because we are beavers, we have a solution. That solution, if we go down here to landscaping, is a dam. Now, I've been carefully planning everything, except for the misplaced water wheel, to build a dam right here, spanning the middle of our river. This dam will eventually be... We will eventually end up destroying this dam and reclaiming some of it. But right now that is going to probably be the best spot for it. I'm going to build a path up here and then across the dam. The big reason for that is that they won't, if I don't do that, they won't be able to reach these further spots on the dam. As you can see here, it says it is too far from a district and cannot be reached by builders. Build more paths or a new district. We don't want to be dealing with multiple districts right now. We're just building some new paths. Since we are running out of logs over here, or running out of trees over here more accurately, I am going to extend this path over here. And I'm going to put down another lumber station, because again, these are free. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to press pause on this one, which will take away the employee. They've gone somewhere else, though, to be employed. They've probably gone to here, so I'm going to knock that down to 2. And they're, once again, finding employment somewhere. That's a problem we can solve later. Oh, they're probably finding employment in the lumberjack flag, which they built while I wasn't paying attention. So next up, we're going to take our tree cutting area, and we're going to make this whole... Basically, every tree that we have in this area, we're going to make free game to be cut down. And I'm going to actually pause this other lumberjack flag, and I'm going to once again build a new one over here. Ah, our water wheel is done, which means that we can build our lumber mill. Now, I have put this in a bit of an awkward spot because the path is going to look weird, but we can fix that later, I guess. The lumber mill just takes 15 logs. Does not take anything special. And we actually have more than 15 logs. I am going to set this... Well, no, I'm just going to set this to a normal priority so the lumber mill and that can compete. We don't particularly need either one of them over the other right now. While the beavers are sleeping, I am just going to modify this path a little bit. Just because that's going to bother me if I don't. So the next thing I think we need to worry about is this area over here. We've got bushes and we've got stumps, but honestly... This area could be better used for farming. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down here to demolish buildings and resources. We're going to go to mark resources for demolition, and we're just going to draw an area over about that much of it. These resources will be marked for demolition, and as we can see, the builders will come over here and they will remove these. Since the builders are removing them, we're not going to get anything from taking the resources like this. It's just going to remove the resources from that game tile. While they're removing those, we can come over here and look at our lumber mill. So our lumber mill is going to take logs, and it's going to take power, which we have more than enough power to sustain this lumber mill. It's going to take the logs and it's going to turn them into planks using power from this water wheel. Bizarrely, Jayunya has abandoned their old post at the water pump, and they are now our lumber mill worker, but I don't know why that happened. They just decided they didn't want to work at the water pump anymore, I guess. Now, since we are making these planks, we're going to need, obviously, somewhere to store them. I don't really want to take up space over here since this is where we're storing everything else, and we don't need that many planks right now. We're only going to need a couple of them to finish our forester. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to storage. I'm going to select a small pile. I'm going to face that towards this path, just because it's the shortest distance to the warehouse, and I'm going to select, and I'm going to click on planks. Not treated planks, those are a completely different resource, just regular planks. That's going to allow us to store up to 20 in this pile, and then the building itself can store 13, so we can have up to 33, which for right now is going to be more than enough. We have reclaimed a lot of our land over here. I'm going to use that to plant some more carrots. Mostly carrots, honestly. And then a few more sunflowers, but not a lot. Now, something we will need to start worrying about is that we only have one water tank over here. What we will want is just a couple more. I'm going to go with 4, which is probably overkill for now. And we do need to make sure to set all of these to water. And I'm going to set 2 of these to lower priority so that they don't take builders or materials away from other things that we're doing. But as long as we have 2, we should probably be fine for whatever the game's about to throw at us. Oh, now this is an issue with what I have done. We're only getting 11 horsepower here because we have accidentally slowed the river only in front of our water wheel. But we have 8 planks, which is more than we need for the forester. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just pause this lumber mill for now. So now that we have planks, now that we have over 7 planks and we have enough logs, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to wood and I'm going to look at the forester. We can see it takes 60 science to unlock. And I'm going to once again put this on tiles that currently I cannot grow anything on. I'm going to stick this right here, and as I click, it's going to pop up with, am I sure I want to unlock the forester? It costs 60 science points. That's the whole reason we were getting science points at the moment, so I am going to hit yes. Going to make this a higher priority, even though it should be higher than anything else we have on the map currently. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to this gathering flag, and I'm actually going to pause that because at the moment we don't have any reason for it. All of the berries over here that we can get to from that gathering flag have been harvested. All right, our forester is now built and staffed, which means that just like our crops over here, we have to plant trees. What we are going to plant is close to the water. We are going to plant birch trees. And further away from the water, we are going to plant oak trees. These are the only trees we need to place right now. Every other tree here, pine, chestnut, and maple, are all worse choices than birch and oak. Now, we drag these out just like the crops, and as you will see, this gives us a bit of a funky looking field here, because doing so will actually replace these stumps, but it won't replace currently growing trees. Now, all of these are actually, well, not all of them. Now, I'm going to do something very tedious here, and I'm going to go through every single tree, and I'm going to just set it to demolish anyone that is less than 80% done. So this one is 87%. I'm going to leave that. This one's 91. I'm going to leave that. 68. That gets demolished. I could just set my beavers to demolish all of these, but if we've got ones like these that are 97%, they're going to grow up real quick and then get harvested and turn into stumps again. So I'm just going to go through all these and do it the very tedious way. Now that that's done, our forester actually has a priority the same way that our farmer over here does. I am going to set him to prioritize oaks, which may seem counterintuitive, because birch trees have a much shorter growing time than oaks. Oaks have a much better return per the amount of days that are spent growing them. Birch trees grow up in about 9 days, so a little over a week, and they are definitely something we want to have this early. But because the oak trees are going to take so much longer to grow, 30 whole days, I want the forester to prioritize planting them first. So right now, our beavers basically have everything they need to survive for a couple of days. I am going to just hit the 3 times speed, and I'm going to let it go for a minute until this dam starts getting built. So I've just realized something. We currently have 2 beavers working here. I'm going to pause one of them and open up a workstation at the lumber mill so that he will go over there, because we're not going to have trees over here for a little while. The other thing I've noticed is old Urex over here has this icon above him. Now that means that he has a broken tooth. Having this broken tooth will mean that he has 75% less chance of cutting down any trees, and it should take him about 75% longer. It also makes him unhappy, but he doesn't even have a place to sleep right now, so I think he's complaining too much if that's his biggest worry. To solve that, this will go away on its own, I believe. I've never actually left it. To solve it, we will go down here to well-being, and one of our 3 options, tooth grindstone. Well, it should be tooth grindstone. It says teeth grindstone, which is not the way that would work grammatically. I'm just going to pop this over here right next to our town hall. I'm going to once again make that highest priority so that they actually go and do it. And then once this gets built, we should be able to see Urex. Yep, here he comes in the middle of the workday, right over here to grind his tooth, making sparks fly right up on here to this thatched roof. So maybe I didn't place this in perhaps the safest way according to fire code, but he'll just sit there for a little while. His broken tooth will go down on his stat. And once that is all the way gone, he'll go back to cutting down trees just like normal. Oh, and that noise means that a drought is approaching. This is why we were building our dam, though. It's why we've got, at the moment, 2, but up to 4 water stations over here. So what we are going to do is we're actually going to, and they've almost finished the dam, so we're going to set both of these to high priority. So this water tank will be finished after this dam is finished, but that'll be fine. And I didn't notice it, but they have finished our dam. That does mean that, number one, this functions as a bridge. So if we just want to make a path over here and start building stuff over here, we can. It works perfectly fine, and we will do that in probably the next episode. But it also means that this water level over here on this side of the dam, upriver from the dam, will stay at this water height. So that will be good once this drought hits and our water sources stop flowing. We also have built our final water tank that is going to allow us to store up to 150 water, which I believe will sustain us throughout the entire drought. We are in about as good of a spot as we could hope to be for, 1.2 days before the drought. We do not have much to worry about with this upcoming drought. We are in a great position. We've got the water we need. We've got most of the food we need. Actually, for that, I will turn this gatherer flag back on, and I will take this lumberjack flag and pause it. And for some reason, the star of today, Jaya will go over here and start gathering berries again. I do not know why he has held 4 jobs today, but I will not question it. And as the clock strikes morning on the 15th day, we will hit our first drought. As we watch, all of the water will stop flowing and it will drain right out the side of the map. The first thing we want to do here, turn this off. It can no longer pump any water, so we can reclaim that job. The other thing I'm going to do, and this may seem counterintuitive because we're in the middle of a drought, is turn this one off. As we can see over here, this area used to be all green. It is now no longer irrigated. That is because we just lost all of the water that was flowing down here because we dammed right here in the middle. The land over here is irrigated. The land over here is not. That does mean we might... No, we won't. That does mean that these sunflowers are going to be dry, but they actually will not die. The drought is only 2 days. They die in 3.2. All of our trees will continue growing at the same rate, and they will continue to be planted because that is all arable. All of these carrots will continue to grow, and they will be replanted eventually because that is all arable. Our lumberjacks will continue to cut down trees because they do not actually need to be alive to cut them down. The other thing I'm going to do, because we do have an open job here, I'm going to put down another inventor. That is going to allow us to get some science points when we have an open job here. I'm going to pause that once again once this drought is over. As we can see, our first night is approaching. We still have 99 water. We're more than good on water. And we have survived our first drought. So as the water starts to flow again, it will revitalize this area up here. It will flow back down the channel. It will fill up our little reservoir a little bit too much, and it will flow through our dam once again, balancing out and actually making this run correctly. And with that, I shall pause our inventor, reopen both water pumps, take one of these away and set them back to we're planting instead of harvesting. I will reopen the lumber mill. What's this? Valgua has died of old age. Well, that's going to be a problem. one that we can solve in the next episode. That sounds so dumb. Anyway, Tutopolis is going strong. We're at 215 science points. We have a ton of lumber. We have a ton of food. We are in a great position to start really expanding and improving our colony in the next episode. So if you'd like to see where this colony goes, then please subscribe. I'm looking to get these out on a fairly quick cadence. I don't exactly have a schedule now, but I can promise that Tutopolis will return. Anyway, thank you for watching this video, and goodbye.